Good morning and welcome to today's presentation of the EPIC and Fi360 Toolkit integration. I'm Chris Colangelo, Head of Marketing here at EPIC, where we're proud to be the first record keeper to build this fully integrated data link with Fi360. We're joined today by Mike Limbacher, Product Manager with Fi360, who will be giving us a demonstration and overview of the Fi360 Toolkit and the EPIC integration. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to enter them in the questions panel and Mike will address them at the end. And with that, I will hand the reins over to Mike.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks everyone for joining today. First, before we begin, again, very excited about this integration. Again, this is one of the key projects that I've been working on over the past couple of years, is really driving integrations into the Fi360 Toolkit. I'm really excited that we could partner with EPIC and get this integration off the ground. Really think it'll benefit all the advisors out there that work with EPIC and work with the Toolkit now or in the future. Before we get into the Toolkit, I just want to touch a little bit on Fi360, what we do here, just so everyone's familiar with our organization. I'll touch a little bit on the integration and then we'll jump into the software, do a little demo of one of the key benefits of the Toolkit and how that works with the integration. And then, like Chris said, we'll open up for any questions that you have on the integration or on the software on Fi360. So Fi360, we cover a few different areas. Not only are we software, but we're also training. We're also a different resources organization. So I'll kind of go through a couple of the different I guess divisions or departments, if you will. We're a small company, but we do a lot here. The first thing that we definitely do is we provide software and information and investment analytics to help advisors with their fiduciary process, specifically with the monitoring and ongoing due diligence process that advisors have to deal with every single day and every quarter with their clients. As things kind of roll out, again, hopefully everyone in this environment is pretty familiar with their fiduciary responsibility, but as obviously the DOL rule rolls out over the next year, this is becoming more and more of a hot topic, but we've been in this space for a very long time, helping advisors with our software applications that help with this process. And then when we go in, I'll definitely touch on the Toolkit a little bit more in just a second here. But really, we started as a training organization, Fi360 did. We've now trained over 10,000 students, and we have over 8,000 current designees that hold either our AIF, AIFA, or PPC designation. And really, the training, the core of what we do is help advisors understand what it means to be a fiduciary. And really, we lay out a prudent process, that we call it, that really kind of outlines the understanding that most advisors have today of what it means to be a fiduciary. Again, all backed up by case law legislation. Again, we're just in the middle of updating our training slides to account for the changes in the DOL rule. But again, all the information that we have kind of comes from that core of what's out there today in case law and legislative acts, and then also what comes with best practices from within, but also over the course of training 10,000 advisors. Next, one of the more recent areas of that we actually acquired was a company called Anschluck & Company, and they provide services around strategic growth and support. So they have different applications like the Fee Benchmarker and Fee Almanac. Is pretty interesting. Again, focusing more on what's the word I'm looking for here? The processing and the workflows that advisors have to deal with every day. They really help with those best practices around different services that an advisor can provide, specifically on the 401k side. And then last but not least, Fiduciary Assessments. Another division that we have is the CFEX certification. Again, a lot of advisors go through our training and then they implement the best practices into their day-to-day operations. Another key component of working with your clients is to show that not only are you implementing those best practices, but you've been audited by an independent third party that actually shows that you're operating in a fiduciary manner in the best way possible. And that's what the CFEX certification does. It's an independent third-party evaluation of fiduciary best practices. We provide this pretty extensively throughout different groups, specifically on the advisor side. Well, let's talk a little bit about the EPIC-Fi360 Toolkit today and what this toolkit can actually do for you, what the software actually provides, and how it kind of ties into the integration with EPIC and what that actually means. So the toolkit, if you're not familiar with it, is really a software application which helps with those best practices. Again, as I mentioned, we started out as a training organization. People will go through our training, understand the processes that they would need to take, and then they came to us and say, well, how do we actually implement them? And that's how we kind of built the EPIC-Fi360 Toolkit over time, really helping you to increase the efficiency of the monitoring due diligence process. And really it comes down to a few core features in the toolkit, but the one we'll cover in just a few moments is the process of creating an investment policy statement for your client, defining the due diligence criteria, and then doing the ongoing monitoring and due diligence of either a client account or a plan lineup over time. And the integration that we have with EPIC ties into this very nicely because, again, as the plan lineup changes over time, or even if the dollar value for all the investments in the plan lineup changes, you want to have that relevant information for the due diligence process to do your own research internally. But then when you produce the reports out of the toolkit, you want to show that information in a timely fashion with the client and really pulling that data in into the toolkit so you don't have to do the data entry of the plan lineup really helps, again, eliminate that data entry process where you can focus on the due diligence and the analysis that you're paid to do. Again, there's other pieces of the toolkit here. The very first bullet point, win new business by creating reports. Again, we have a proposal generation process in the system today. It's very helpful if you wanted to win a new plan. You can enter the current lineup, and then you can show a proposed lineup that you may propose when you're working on the EPIC platform. And then there's other tools that, again, really help with the processing. If there is a point in time where you do need to replace an investment, we have an investment analyzer, essentially a searching and screening tool. You can go into the system, find a suitable replacement for the plan lineup, and then either implement that change or, again, provide that recommendation to the plan sponsor, depending on how you're set up as an investment fiduciary. And then that last bullet, upload the client data easily through integrations. So how does the integration, what does the integration with EPIC actually provide? Again, two real pieces here. One is the second bullet point, which I'll start with first because I think it's the most valuable. Again, once the integration is linked in the system, we're going to automatically update the data. We'll get a file from EPIC, and we'll automatically update the plan data in the Fi360 Toolkit, so you don't have to do any data entry. Again, we want you to be an advisor, not a data entry specialist. But then the first piece really is just a time-saving feature for new plans, and even as you onboard the system. If you don't have the client created in the Fi360 Toolkit, it's one click to create the client based on the information that we pull into the Fi360 Toolkit. And we'll see how this works in just a moment. How do you actually sign up for the integration? There's an authorization form that you need to complete. Once you send that to EPIC, EPIC will approve the release of information to Fi360, and then you'll start to see the plan data in the toolkit. So I'm going to jump into the toolkit here, and we're going to assume we completed those first two steps. The application is complete, and we actually have the integration set up. So there's a couple different tools in the toolkit, again, highlighted by these different icons, but we're just going to go into the client area here. And this is essentially your client lineup. So again, if you're an existing toolkit user, all of your plans are obviously going to be listed in here. And all you need to do is once the plan is being sent to us from EPIC, is click on this Establish link. This is going to go out, find the list. This is just a test account that we have here. But it's going to list all the plans that we have pulling over from EPIC. All you need to do is click on the client that you want to link up to. Again, it's just in this random example, Alex Anderson. Hit link, and it's going to download the data. If it's a brand new plan on EPIC and you don't have them in the toolkit, just like linking the existing client, all you need to do is click on the Create a New Client. And then when you're creating a new client, instead of filling out the information that you need, again, you can just switch over, select one or more clients, and then that'll automatically create the client in the system. So this will just take a two-second tour here. But again, once this link is established, all you need to do is, again, come in here, again, every month or every quarter, and this information is going to be updated for you. Again, if you're familiar with the toolkit, we do quarterly or monthly updates, usually on the 6th business day of the month. And again, just instead of, and those updates update the underlying investment data that we get from Morningstar, so the performance information, and including our FI360 fiduciary score. But really all you need to do is jump into the client. And then the most recent data period will be listed, and the holdings will simply come over from EPIC. So again, this is kind of a weird example. There are no dollar value amounts, but EPIC is sending that data. Don't worry, that information will come straight over, and you'll have that information pulled into the system. So what does this actually get you? Why is this important to pull the information in? So taking a step back, since we're in the client here, we're really looking at the investment policy statement to start off. So this is, again, that business plan that you're establishing with the plan sponsor and with the plan. And here, again, this is pretty straightforward. There's a series of questions that you use to fill out the investment policy statement. On the far right-hand side, once all that information is complete, you can download the document. But the important piece is the monitoring and watch list criteria. So again, by default, we can use our fiduciary score, which is our own third-party independent evaluation of the investment. A lot of advisors like to use that because it is third-party. But in addition to that, you can create your own custom due diligence. So if I go in here and I switch this from fiduciary score to this MDC advisors criteria that I've created, I'm now using my own custom due diligence process. I'm selecting factors that I want to use, 1, 3, 5-year return, for example. I'm selecting the thresholds. I want the 1-year return to be in above median for a fund. I want the 5-year return to be in the top quartile for a fund. Really, you can go into the system and customize the due diligence process. And then what does that get you? So if we go back into the holdings and go into the watch list notes, again, all the plan data is coming in. We can see in the toolkit, are the investments meeting or not meeting my monitoring criteria that I've set up. So again, it's following that MDC standard criteria that I've set up. So real quickly, we can pretty obviously see it's green check, it's passing, red X, it's failing. By default, it's going to place the fund on a watch list. You obviously have the ability to override that, and then you can document any decisions that you need to in the notes section on the right-hand side. So this is great. We've documented our due diligence process, again, for doing this month to month or quarter to quarter. All this information is being pulled in. We're doing this due diligence process for the plan. And then finally, what we ultimately want to see is a report. So I'm going to pull up one of our standard reports that we have. This report is condensed down to 14 pages. There's over 40 different report sections that you can add to a monitoring report. This is just a good highlight of some of the most popular sections, but there's a lot more customization that you can add into your reporting. So we have our cover page here, pretty straightforward. And I'm going to skip through a couple of these sections. Again, if there are any questions on what you see as I'm skipping by, feel free to let me know. But really, I want to get to this section here and then one or two other sections in the back. Again, this holding summary, we're pulling in the holdings straight from EPIC, so you don't have to do the data entry to get the investments or the amount invested. But this very last column on the right-hand side, the watch list decision. So again, that decision is being driven by the due diligence criteria that you set up in the IPS. Again, pretty quickly to show your client, again, what's going on and to document the decisions that are being made in the for the plan. So we have a fee expense section I'm going to skip over. We have a performance section that we're actually going to skip over. But then we get down into the breakdown of that due diligence process. So again, if you're using our fiduciary score as the default process, and we list that out here pretty clearly, we go through the 11 factors that we use in our due diligence process, and we show our fiduciary score, which is driving the watch list decision, if you choose that. But if you did create and you are using your own custom due diligence process, again, I use that MDC criteria. Again, this would be the MDC criteria. There's a whole separate section. And then this would break down, again, all the different factors and thresholds that I'm using and explicitly show the investments passing or failing the due diligence process. So again, there's a lot more detail that we could go into. I don't want to cover everything today, but again, that's kind of the core feature, one of the core features of the FI360 toolkit. And again, how that really ties into the efficiencies that are created by the integration with EPIC Advisors. No longer do you have to, again, enter the data into the toolkit. And then conversely, now that we do have this integration with EPIC, all the plans that you do have listed on EPIC, you can really make your due diligence and monitoring process a lot more efficient now that we're integrated in. So one other section that a report section that I want to pull up. Oh, I do have it here. And this is one that we just recently came out with. And the reason I want to bring this up is this is pretty timely. You see in the news quite recently all the different reports that are coming through or lawsuits that are coming through about plan sponsors getting sued because the plan isn't in the right share class. So about 6 or 8 months ago, we came out with this new share class reporting section. I'm going to skip to a different section that doesn't have American funds. But what this section does is this breaks down, here's a better section here, and breaks down all the investments that are in the plan. It's highlighted in blue, so this Fidelity Advisor Diversified is a plan in the fund. We're actually using the T-share. And with this report, you can see what the expense ratio is, what the fiduciary score is, what some of the performance returns are. And then you can use this to evaluate what's going on with the rest of the share classes for that fund. So is it appropriate to move this fund from one share class to another? One other thing that you can do is, again, depending on what investment options are available to you, you can upload a list of all 5, 10, or 15,000 funds into the system and quickly add them into what we call a custom universe. So that custom universe can be your pick list of funds that are available on a particular platform. So again, I think how it works with EPIC is, again, depending on the custodian that you work with, you may have a list for Schwab, a list for Matrix. I think you guys also use TD. Depending on what platform you're using, you could upload a different list of funds for each of those platforms and then attach that to the client. So then when you run this share class report, again, you can specifically highlight what share classes are available on that platform as well. So from this report, even if you run it once a year, this can be your documentation of your due diligence process of going through and periodically reviewing what's going on with the different share classes to exactly show what's going on. And again, since the data is coming into the toolkit, you already have the plan lineup in the system. Again, you can upload the platform into the system pretty quickly, and you can have this periodic review going on. So you have this analysis for you and for the plan sponsor to evaluate what's going on. Again, that's one of the more recent reports that I like to highlight and just show, again, some of the different capabilities in the toolkit. So with that being said, again, if you're brand new to FI360, you've never seen this before and you'd like to take a tour, feel free to give us a call or just shoot an email, sales@fi360.com. One of our sales reps will be able to get you set up with a demo so you can go in and take a closer look at the FI360 toolkit. I encourage you to go into the system, spend 15, 20 minutes, add a few funds that actually apply to one of the plans that you're working with into the system, and then use that as a test case to evaluate the process. If you already happen to be an FI360 toolkit user, thank you for working with us, but now you can get the EPIC integration signed up. So to do that, again, you need to fill out that application form, submit it to EPIC, and then EPIC will start sending us the data. Really, again, the quickest thing to do is if you go to our help center, again, if you're just on fi360.com, there's a link up here where to go for support. You just click on the support link. This will take you into our help center. Just type in EPIC in the search, and then this will bring up the guide of, again, all the information that I went through, exactly how to use the integration in more detail. And then down at the bottom, again, is that agreement that you need to get signed and submitted to EPIC. And again, if you do have any questions about that, support@fi360.com will be able to help you out. And again, you saw down here, there's a phone number. Again, it's out on fi360.com. That'll help you with any questions that you have. So that's going to wrap it up for me. Again, I appreciate your time. I don't know if there are any questions out there, but if you do have a question, I'll stay on the line for a few more minutes. If not, if you think of something later, again, feel free to send an email to our support team, support@fi360.com. They can help you get connected and set up with the integration.
Thanks, Mike. I don't see any questions out there right now. But if anyone does have any questions, of course, reach out to Mike. And as always, you can contact your EPIC service team for assistance. You can also visit EPIC-First.com and the partners page for that integration form as well. And if there are no questions, we'll go ahead and wrap it up for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day.